Hey everybody, and welcome to the HolyLogz-Cast. I am your host, Chopped Spaghetti Liver.
And I am Mr. Soggy Chalmane.
Yes, hello. My name is XL Wang.
It's your boy. It's your boy Toasted Almond Chip Balls here, back with another spicy dessert.
Ooh,
Nice. So today we decided to do something kind of different. We decided to review a few movies. We chose I suggested that we do one of my favorite directors who I hadn't really seen much from, but towards the end of this episode, we're going to be reviewing The Irishman, Goodfellas, and Taxi Driver.
From good old Marty boy. Oh, yeah.
Make sure you stay till the end for that, but for the first bit, we're going to be talking about...
Scorsese's kind of sexy.
You know, he kind of is.
His wrinkles turn me on.
Yeah, after I watched The Irishman, there was this video on Netflix called The Irishman in Conversation where they talked about it, and damn, he is a looker.
I know his glasses, the way they reflect off my penis.
I'm choking.
On
good.
His penis.
Okay. I bet he goes to Mardi Gras. Oh yes,
Marty.
Anyway.
Okay, enough thirsting for Martin Scorsese, though.
Dude,
We'll always do that.
he's amazing. First we wanted to discuss this little bot channel that has been popping up recently. He's kind of gone on some of our videos.
I can name some of the videos that it's occurred on.
It's
this happened on Lucas's channel, on Lucas's main channel, or on a short film. I saw one of those comments on. I think multiple of our HolyLogz videos is on there. My dad's also in a band called Pillar. They released a lyric video recently. He commented on that too.
That's weird.
A ton of stuff. I've been seeing it.
I
everywhere.
looked him up. He's done it on a bunch of other people's stuff. He just targets like young creators, or I mean, if it's a he has a few videos on this one channel, but he has a separate channel that goes and leaves comments, and that one has like almost 3,200.
And you know what? Hey, you know what? He's on the grind, all right? He gives support by saying, like, what, great content, good video, like...
Wait, what was it? It was something, like, really bad.
I'm looking at
great content, keep up the good content. That's what it was.
Something like that. He repeated the word content, like, twice.
Great content, keep up the good content.
You know what?
Awesome video, keep up the good...
What if he's just, like, a really big fan of ours, all right? And he just... I don't know. That's just the way he has very limited vocabulary.
He thinks I'm hot, guys.
It's very true. I mean,
he's just sexually
see, this kind of like actually yanks my chain.
Well, I mean, he's going to at some point.
I mean, yeah, he's kind of hot, but
Are we gonna say that? Are we gonna say his channel name? Because I mean,
it's just called Tom.
Yeah, it's called Tom.
Tom. It used to be Tim, apparently, and then it was Tem. Maybe it's still Tem. I don't know. And now it's Tom.
What a basic white boy name.
I know, right? So, Tom, I don't understand why they have to do this, because this is, like, kind of taking away from actual content creators who, like...
starting up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's totally shitty, dude.
I just think it's kind of annoying, because I get spam comments all the time. For some reason... his specifically don't get moved
flagged?
To the spam. Yeah, they don't get flagged.
I know, right?
Well, you know, I think personally YouTube is just these days in regards to like bots and in terms of comment section, I don't think they give a shit. I think they're like, that seems legit, you know what I mean?
Oh, Tom, that's a human being's name. Unlike this
No, so he's a dude, right, that just wanted a channel, I'm guessing, to make money. Because I mean,
probably, yeah. If you look on all his videos, they're just videos about tutorials on like how to get views on YouTube. He just basically is completely busting the algorithm on purpose. Like,
I think his favorite holiday's the April 1st.
Dude,
his name is Tom. What's April 1st?
April 1st.
Oh,
true.
A month after.
Come over here, big boy.
March 1st.
Oh, that was all right. Yeah. No. Okay. So you know what? No. You know what, Tom? All right. If you ever want to be a guest on the podcast, just hit us up. All right. You can defend yourself. I honestly forget all these clowns. I'm on your side. I respect you, man. You're just trying to make money. All right. by commenting very nice comments on people's videos. All right, I respect you a lot, bro. Keep up the good grind. You better get like 100,000 comments today.
Thomas, whatever I can tell you, Thomas the Tank Engine. I just want to say thank you for leaving a comment on our video telling us that we had great content and then not even considering subscribing. But we sure hope that you do consider searching us up every now and then and checking out our content. Or maybe your bot will just pick it up and say, wow, this video looks new enough for me to say, great content. Keep up the great content.
Guys, I've been scrolling around and I found Tom's OnlyFans.
Oh man, what does he look like? I bet he has
Bro, now we just need to find Martin Scorsese's OnlyFans.
Oh, sign me up for that.
It's called Travis Dickel. Trust me, you guys, I'm ahead of the curve on this one.
It's called Henry Fondle.
It's called Ray Liotta these balls. We'll get to that. So, Lucas, I think you have some stories for us.
Oh no, is it story time already? So excited.
Story time, my favorite part.
You
of
guys
sex.
can just kind of jump in whenever if you have any sorts. If you guys have anything else, just.
I've never had a job. I could explain why, but that's not a very interesting story. See, the reason I don't have an actual job is because I applied to a movie theater when I was 15, and I was thinking, I wonder if they hire 15-year-olds. I mean, I said my age on the application I submitted online, and they didn't say no. They come in, I do an interview, it goes all really well. I'm talking to the manager, he's really cool. It's like, how old are you? I'm like 15. He's like, oh, I can't hire you. It's like, oh, god damn it. And then, so then I tried recently. I was like, what the heck? Okay, so I recently tried to apply at a Burger King that my friend worked at. And they're like, yeah. Then I got super, super sick. Like, I couldn't, like, get off the couch. It was really bad. So,
Corona.
Yeah, I was super sick, so I had to cancel the interview. And I was like, I can't make it. So, like, okay, we'll reschedule. And then they, like, straight up started ghosting me. Like, I'd call them. I'm like, all right, when can we do the interview? Like, I'll tell you when, they'll give me some random answer, like when the schedule open up or something like that. And they never call me again. So I was like, wow, all right, Burger King's ignoring me. And then now I can't get a job because, well, for obvious reason. So, yeah, not a very interesting story. One of you guys can go ahead.
All right, so I have a story. And so this was at the same Burger King that Caden applied to. And, Caden, I'm sure you know the story. I mean, I've told Lucas the story, but, so I used to every Friday or Saturday, I go to my buddy Logan's Burger King. He works there, and he's great. He always helps me out. He's always great. Shout out to Logan. We're not sponsored, but anyway.
This video is sponsored by
Logan. If you are sexually attracted to penguins, he can help you with that.
Oh. So it's Friday night, and I'm at this Burger King. I'm waiting for him to get off, and I'm just kind of sitting, chilling in the lobby. I'm just me by myself, and there's not many people. There's not many customers. And I decide that I want to get a large slushie. Now, I have two stories, so this one's kind of stupid, but I'll segue into the good one after this. So I get a large slushie, and literally not even 2 seconds afterward, it starts making a and I was just like so scared because the employees got so pissed off, and I just did not admit to being the one that kind of fucked up the machine. So they were like, "Oh, bro, nice machine," or something like that, and I was like, "Oh shit!" I cowered in the corner because they were like actively searching the fucking Burger King. I think my friend Logan.
It's like Metal Gear Solid. Who broke the fucking slushie?
At least Burger King tries to solve the problem with ice machine, but so
dude, I feel that.
After that,
you like get in the trash can. You get in the trash can and hide like Snake.
Yes. So after that crisis was averted, another crazy thing happened, and this, to me, to this day, I really, really wish I could understand. And Lucas, I told you, and you kind of agreed with me, if I remember correctly, but so it's closing time, right? It's probably about 10, and that's usually when the workers like clean up and lock up the store.
Yeah, it's called closing.
Well, 10 minutes beforehand, 10 minutes beforehand, Logan's about to lock it up, and this woman goes, "Oh, hey, can I use the restroom?" And I'm going to make a note of something because it's important later. So she uses the women's bathroom. That's very important to the story. Lucas knows, so trust me. Okay,
oh no, this story.
So 20 minutes later, Logan's about to lock up again. They had to clean up in the back. There was some mess or something. And then the same woman...
They found the slushy. Like a screw fell out and the mess was more slushy.
So the same woman walks in and uses the guy's bathroom, but actually there's a detail left out when I told you, Lucas. There was smoke coming from it. And so she left, and it was kind of sus. And then Logan locks up. He's like, okay, that was kind of weird. And she, by the way, she was in a minivan or something like that. And I remember seeing a bunch of other people in there. So to this day, I had no idea. I'm not. To this day, I have no idea what was going on. But as we were walking out,
both bathrooms.
Yeah, she used both. And then, but one time, smoke came out of one of them. So I don't know what was going on there.
That was her gender transformation. She like burned off her penis.
She became smoking hot.
Oh.
So as we're walking out, I see this same, I see the group of people that was in the car. They're now outside, and they're smoking whatever. And they're all so short, I thought they were like little kids, so I almost got onto them. I actually was like, hey! And then I saw they were all adults. I'm like, never mind, let's just walk away.
Dude, they were driving a clown car. They were driving a clown car, that's why they're all in a van. They're all tiny.
So yeah, that's my story about that Burger King that Caden tried to fly to, and I'd say it's kind of fucking crazy over there. So do as you please.
I had a few other little
anecdotes.
I have to wash the dishes. This one's like more like weird kind of detail, but I have to wash the dishes, and I hate it because I'm not used to the scalding water, and you have to turn it all the way up.
Mm-hmm.
And so what would happen is you would just like be walking in. You can't hear me because I'm in the back, but I'm like scrubbing down the kitchen. I'm like the dishes like with this little hose thing, and it hurts my hand and burns that every now and then I'll just like fly my hands away and just be like, oh, fuck, and like cuss like an absolute sailor. And this one time, it was like the second or third time I did the dishes. We had to call in one of another employee, but she had to bring her daughter, and so her daughter was sitting in the back, just like with her headphones on, and I was kind of like right next to her, and I just like at some point whenever I was doing the dishes, I just kept doing it because I couldn't stop, and then I just kind of look over, and she would just kind of give me this look, and I was like, because I think she had her headphones on and was just like, what's that weird looking dude doing? But who knows? And then another time I was at the front with, it was a slower day. It was one of my earlier days, like one of my first days. And this one guy walks in, doesn't even park his car, just opens the door, like puts it in park, opens the door, runs in and says, "Can I use your phone?" And then my coworker just like handed him the phone really, really slowly. He took it, he used it, he gave it back, and he was like, "All right, thank you so much." And then he gave us the phone back, ran back into his car, drove away. And the guy, my coworker, just looked at me and was like, "Dude, that was shady as fuck."
Yeah.
And that's it.
Did you hear any of the phone conversation?
No.
I have two stories about the same place. Now, I mean, all my work stories are really just about like friends and where they work. So I have two stories, and it's both about this really, really, really good place here called Flame Broiler. I don't know if this is in other places. I really hope it is because I love it so much. Anyway, so I have two stories here. One is from 2016 and one's pretty recent. So I will get into the 2016 one as I've talked about this. Like none of you guys know the story, so it's fresh in your minds. So pretty much back in 2016, my family and I went to Flame Broiler. We sit down, we order, we get all of our shit, right? And we see this guy walk in. He kind of looked like older me. Like he kind of looked a lot like me, actually. But I noticed a peculiar thing on his jeans. You want to guess what that was?
Oh, I would rather
shit
not.
Stains.
Oh no!
Giant shit stains. I want to smell the entire fucking restaurant. So he's like, and you know what he does? He doesn't even talk to the employees. He just walks in, heads straight to the fucking bathroom. And guess what? We're there for probably about an hour or something like that, maybe a little more, and the guy still hadn't come. And then eventually, like 2 minutes before we leave, he walks out, and then as we're leaving, he walks back in, and the shit stains were bigger. Okay, so
Okay.
So to segue into my last story of this flame broiler place, which has given me great food. Look up flame broiler, actually, right now. www.flamebroilercooking.com, whatever it is. Anyway, so my second story is about my friend who works there. And I don't see him much there, but every time I've been there, he's usually there a little bit after I leave, or maybe right as I get there, so it depends. So I see him, and this is the first time I've ever seen him at his work. And, he tries to keep a professional profile, especially around friends there. I mean, that makes sense. So I walk in, and he's taking my order, and he notices on the receipt that it's order number 69, and he just starts fucking dying in the store. He was like, here, let me play out the conversation how it happened. He's like, hey guys, welcome to Flame Broiler. That's how he talks. So if he watches this, he knows I'm talking about him. He's like, hey guys, welcome to Flame Broiler. What can I get you? And I was like, oh yeah, mini bowl with water, a cup. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. Let me type up your order. Like, it's number 69. Just cracking up, and I start laughing with him, and I can't help it. And I still have that receipt in my house somewhere. That was a special memory, and I still have it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's my restaurant stories. If I think of it, I probably have a little bit more, but I'll wait until I can remember.
So I know my last stories were shit, but I promise I have some good ones here.
You have some good ones, bro.
The stuff that's happened at fast food restaurants for me, it gets insane.
Oh, wait, I have a story after this. Okay, you go.
One time at a Carl's Jr.'s, right? So this was years ago, so I was a little kid. So I was with my brother and my two younger twin sisters. So we were all in like the playground area inside the restaurant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was there was this kid that was blocking the slide at the very top. My brother, yeah, he was always the most that does that. But my brother's trying to go down the slide, so he's like, "Can I go?" And he's like, "No." You know what the kid blocking the slide does?
What?
He bites my brother in the nose.
I'm so sorry for laughing. It's great.
Okay, meanwhile, this kid's little sister, right? So my little sister, Kennedy, I don't remember how old she was at the time. She's 6 years younger than me, just for reference. But she was going down the slide, and she was a toddler at this time. She was going down the slide. This other little girl that's about the same age as her, as she went down the slide, just punched her for no reason, like really hard.
Oh shit!
And my sister started crying and running over. I didn't know what happened. I eventually learned what happened. These two people were brother and sister, and I got kind of pissed off, and I told my mom about it. So she went and tried to find their parents. It turns out their grandma was there, who raised them, and the grandma went to the kids' and she's like, "Why'd you do that?" But they both just didn't talk at all. The grandma just like pulled them out of there, and they just all left, like out into the sunset.
Huh?
Why'd you do that?
I haven't gotten to tell my story yet.
Yeah, Grant, go ahead.
It's two really quick ones. So this winter and fall, I was volunteering with a campaign that shall not be named, and
it's the one that just dropped out.
Thank you. And
why
anyway,
would Grant campaign for Bernie? He's a conservative.
Yeah, I'm a Christian right-wing Republican. Yeah. Anyway, so I was campaigning, I was canvassing, and I was doing really good that day. I had like completed the amount of doors I had knocked in like a third of the in 2/3 of the time I thought I would have. So I was driving home.
Thank you for your service to my campaign.
And I thought, I can do some extra canvassing with just some of my neighbors. So the first one I went to was this one woman who had insert party name here signs in her yard, like the party of that candidate. And I was like, oh man, maybe she'll like this person, and she'll enjoy that there's a kid out campaigning, right? In Oklahoma, of all places. So I go up to her door. I knock, and then she's got like the dog, the whole. I told Lucas like dogs are better doorbells than actual doorbells.
Oh, for real.
So I knocked, and the dog started barking, and this old guy opens the door, and I've never seen this guy before. I've seen the woman before, And he's like, hello, how can I help you? And I'm like, he's like, how can I help you? And
Love that.
I was like, I'd like to canvass you for blank senator from Vermont. And he was like, oh, I don't mess with that, but my wife might. So he gets his wife from the kitchen. She walks out in her bathrobe, and she sees my shirt. So Bernie on it, and she gets livid. She's like, "You people! I have emailed you 3 times to stop texting me, stop calling me, stop campaigning. I'm supporting Joe Biden, and you people keep bothering me." And I wasn't sitting there by the campaign. I just saw like signs in her yard, so I thought she might like a Democrat talking to her. Oh my God, she almost got me crying. And then as I started walking away, she was like, "Oh, I didn't mean that towards you. Just like tell whoever sent you here that." And it was so mean. Yeah, and then a more funny story that's not as bad. The first time I actually started campaigning with someone else instead of just on my own was this guy. He's about 22. He recently moved to Oregon or Washington, I think. He's a Marxist-Leninist, so he didn't really support the guy. He just wanted to campaign for him. I don't know why. I also was kind of in that boat. So we all both found out that we were whatever, like socialists or whatever. So we kept on walking up to these doors. And one time this guy was like, "You aren't communists, are you?" And like we both looked at ourselves and kind of tried to hold in our laughter and looked at the guy again. And we were like, "No, Bernie's a social Democrat," and he closed the door. Yeah, it's funny.
So back at it. So Parker wanted to go with the story.
So
right?
here's my story, and this was from about late 2009, early 2010, and I'm sure everyone remembers going to like places like Burger King and McDonald's as a kid. You know, everyone remembers that.
Yeah.
And you know, the common item amongst kids, I thought, or at least drinks, was like milk and apple juice. So that factors into the story. So I go to, and I get my usual, or because my usual was always chicken nuggets with an apple juice box. So my mom is like, "Okay, can we get that order, right?" And then we hear the guy go, because we're like, "Okay, we want an apple juice box." And he goes, "Oh, we don't have apple juice box. We have apple juice in a box." I'll let that sink in.
Apple juice in a box. Oh.
Apple juice what?
Okay, so we said I wanted an apple juice box, just like a general word to say apple juice. And then he goes, "Oh, we don't have apple juice box. We have apple juice in a box."
You look at the dude, just say, "Shut the fuck
up." Slap him.
Oh, he was like,
"Let me talk to your manager."
Oh man, I have so many stories like that. Good God.
All right, I got one. We'll save that for another podcast. Just the manager apocalypse.
Ooh, yes.
The coronavirus.
We'll get demonetized, but it's okay. We're not monetized anyway.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so I have one more story. One time, and then I think we'll probably we're kind of running out of time, so we'll probably move into the Scorsese Binge.
This can be a log. This is gonna be a log podcast. I mean, we can go if we want.
Okay,
I actually
cool.
have one interesting story that if I can, I might want to tell it.
All right, cool. So me, Parker, and then Caden. And then if Grant has any more, he can go. So this one time, I was just chilling, and this was like one of the first times. So they were like, "Okay, you need to learn how to answer the phone, kid." And answering the phone is like one of the hardest things you can do in the restaurant business, because I got to be like, do you ever like feel nervous about like, you know, how awkward it is ordering food and how you feel like you're doing something wrong all the time? It's like that, but like 1,000 times worse, and you have to do it multiple times a day.
Oh man, I would not want to do that.
Oh yeah, and so I was just one time this one guy answered, and he had like the worst mic quality possible, and all I hear is just like this like muffled in the background, super loud, "Shut up, boys!" And I was like, "Sir," he says, "Yeah, sorry, I was just yelling at my friends. Is this blah blah blah?" And I said, yes, it is." And he was like, all right. So I need a Punisher, blah 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 blah. And I was like, okay. Anything else? And he goes, I'll have one of your calzones with the creamy Italian. And I said, sir, all of our calzones have creamy Italian.
I remember this story.
What size calzone do you want? And he says, I don't know, the calzone with the creamy Italian. And I'm like, sir, small, medium, or large? He just like went on with this for like a minute.
I want cream.
He just wanted his creamy Italian so bad. And so I was talking to him, he was like, all right, so what do you, we finally was like, yeah, I'll just have a medium. And I said, okay, there we go. What can I get in that? He just ordered all the stuff. It was like a lot of stuff from what I remember. I could be wrong though. And then I say, okay, so they have dipping sauce, right? That's separate from the sauce that's in the calzone.
Oh God.
So I'm just like, yeah. So like, what dipping sauce do you want? And he was just like, I still get the calzone on the creamy Italian on the calzone. Yes, sir. Yes, you do. You get the creamy Italian. This
You really like cream, bro.
Dude, we will cream you up, okay?
Oh.
And so I got him ranch, and then we made his order, and the dude picked it up, and it was all good. And I made sure to put extra creamy Italian on.
Extra.
He likes it creamy.
It's a creamy. It's definitely a creamy Italian.
Ooh. I have one last
So, Parker,
story,
go ahead.
and then we'll have Caden, and I guess we'll segue into our last few topics.
Yes.
So, where I'm from, Atlanta, there's a restaurant called Varsity, and I don't know if you guys have been there. It's only in Atlanta.
Hey, I needed to take a piss, so I'll be back.
Just act like we'll
Alright.
just have to edit in your listening.
Oh, I'm pissing.
Do you want me to send you a video of me pissing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's proof.
Okay,
Proof
cool.
it didn't
We'll
happen.
put a clip of it on the podcast.
Proof.
Yeah.
Totally. So anyway, so in Atlanta, like downtown, there's a place called Varsity, and you guys should look it up because it has some good food. It's kind of greasy though, but I mean, if you're into that kind of thing. And so this was back in 2008. We were visiting, or maybe this was before we left. And I remember we were going to go get some food because we were in downtown area, and we just wanted to get some downtown dinner. And I recall standing in a very long line, and all I hear for a solid 2 minutes, and I might scream this in the mic just to add emphasis. What do you have? What do you have? What do you... So, anyway, I didn't realize at the time that's actually their catchphrase. They're supposed to say that, whereas I thought they were saying that just to fucking say it. So I was like looking at my dad. I was like, "What the fuck are they doing?" And then eventually, like maybe 10 years later, probably exactly, I was looking because I was visiting Atlanta again, and I was looking on my phone, and I realized on their website it literally says in all caps, "What do you have?" on there. So I was, 5-year-old me inside of my current conscious was like, "Oh, that's what that means." So yeah, that's my last story. And
Dude,
Caden,
I
what's your story?
completely missed it. You guys are gonna have to tell me after.
You can watch it on the episode. You can watch the podcast.
Yeah. Watch
Oh,
your own
viewers.
podcast, Lucas. Watch your own.
No, I
fucking
did watch
podcast.
the last one. Okay, it did very well.
Okay.
By the way, guys, we told you we don't like views. All right, you really
Yeah,
not.
you need to stop watching our podcast, you fucking assholes.
On the
Yeah.
topic of ordering food, I was playing D&D at Gabe's house one day, and all of the people there were so. They said they were socially awkward, and so we were trying to order pizza, and they were like tossing the phone around because it was ringing, and they were like, "I'm socially awkward, I can't." And I was like, I was like, "I'm really bad at ordering food, but I guess if you guys are incapable, I'll do it."
Oh my
So
god. That's what you get for trying to order a pizza at a D&D meeting, bro.
You're kind of right, though. Yes, I will have the goblin with the level 4 armor, please.
Goblin with a small penis.
Shit, I just want a pepperoni with cheese.
Oh my god. Okay, so I actually have one story. It's kind of sounds like two really short stories, but these are on the same McDonald's trip, and they're both kind of similar. So this is years and years ago. My two twin little sisters were there, as well as my brother and my mom. We were at McDonald's, just doing McDonald's-y things. Eventually, so this is gonna sound very interesting. All right, get ready.
I want to hear it.
So there was an elderly lady that seemed to be disabled because she was in a wheelchair. All right.
Okay.
She was wearing all black. She didn't look like she was in good health. I felt bad for her. She had some warts on her face, and wore glasses. My sister, I'm not gonna say which one. I guess I'll keep that up to a mystery. But my little sister, who was like again a toddler at the time, sees the lady wearing all black in a wheelchair, and had recently watched the movie Tangled that has a witch in it. So she sees her,
Oh no!
points her finger and yells as loud as she can, "Witch!"
That's amazing, bro.
Oh no!
I was like, "Oh God!"
Oh man, that's
and
scary,
my mom
dude.
saw that and she was like, "Oh." I was just like, cringing so hard. I was like, "No."
Oh my god.
Meanwhile, my other sister was near the line, looking for my dad. My dad was not with us at McDonald's. I don't know why she thought she was there. But eventually, she thought that she found her dad. So she hugged some dude's leg, and she's like, "My daddy!" And hugged him for like 5 seconds. This dude is like, "What the f-?" And then she looks up and she yells out loud. She was like, "You're not my daddy." And then she walks off.
When I get rejected by a girl.
That's amazing, dude.
All right. We could probably do this restaurant.
There's this
/work
one
segment
Chinese
someday.
place in town, and every time we go there, this like dude is like, he's super foreign, and I don't think he understands English well, but he's so rude to people. It's so weird. Like,
What happened?
Well, like, so every time we go there, we like, okay, we want this, this, and this, and then we like go and pick it up 40 minutes afterwards, and then every time we get in there, he says, "Okay, what did you have? The noodle, blah blah blah," and I'm not trying to be like, that's how he talks.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes it funnier, honestly. But eventually, I'm sorry, he'll be like done with it. He's probably a nice guy, but like he'll like look and he'll be like, almost, you sit. And he, instead of like being like, "You could please have a seat," he's like, "You sit, have a seat." And we're just like, bruh.
It's probably just because he doesn't speak English well, but that just sounds really funny. Like,
it really is.
Okay, so the pizza story. I was playing D&D at a friend's house. Everybody was socially awkward. So like they were tossing the phone around when it was time. And they had told me the order. I had it written down. I got through the order pretty well, I guess. Like I guess I slipped up on some words and they giggled at me. Until the end, when they were asking where they wanted it delivered to, they phrased it really weirdly. They were like, "So do you want it dropped off or delivered?" And I just kind of sat there for like 3 seconds looking at everybody like, "What do I say?" And I said, like take it to the house." And it was on speaker. It was on speaker, right? And she laughed at me. She laughed at me, the woman on the phone. So everybody in the room started like cackling.
Bro,
and I was like, I haven't ordered a pizza before. This is actually kind of scary. Just none of my friends could order it either. So yeah, can you deliver it? And they're like, yeah. I was asking where, and I was like, oh, that makes more sense. And she must have been like laughing to her friends in the background, because I heard a guy in the background go, "What the hell is he talking about?" And they start laughing.
Bro, that sounds about right.
And then we had to go back to playing D&D after it, and they did not stop teasing me about it.
Wow.
Hey, Warlock, you bet you have a level 69 staff, but like you're suck at ordering pizza. I have no idea how D&D works.
The one thing you can't level up in is ordering pizzas, Grant.
Dude, my charisma level is like 6.
My fishing level's 99. I'm gonna love your face.
Ordering a pizza is an essential life skill, right?
It is.
Parker, remember when we ordered that pizza at like the middle of the night at Logan's house?
Oh
we
my
had,
god!
Divide up the money while the dude was there. Yeah, go ahead.
So, Logan, our good buddy, we were over at his house with our other good buddy Anthony, and we're not going to say the circumstances of the story, but we all wanted pizza. But I recommended, and a lot of us recommended, that we wanted what's it called? Alfredo sauce topping, which is so good on pizza. Yeah. And I remember we ordered it at like fucking midnight, because that's just what we do. If we want to do something like that, it just happens. And I remember like Logan wasn't even there when we got it, and so that was fun. And pizza was gone within Like, I think the next day, I think you and I both finished it.
Yeah. Now, actually, that next day was the first time I had ever eaten a calzone.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. I told you to do it because you were telling me that you never had one, and I was like, you probably should. It's pretty good.
Okay, are we ready for the Scorsese binge?
Yes.
So, okay, I'm just gonna kind of talk about my history. Scorsese. I watched King of Comedy before I went to go see Joker because I figured it was it would kind of help, but I didn't watch Taxi Driver because I'm an idiot. But I love Joker. It's a great movie. But after seeing Taxi Driver, like, it fails in comparison.
Yeah.
Just got to be real. So, Parker, what are your thoughts on the movie? Because I know it's very close to you.
It's my personal favorite film of all time, and I can talk about my history with that. And also, please don't be concerned, because anytime I tell people that, they always go, wait, what? But I'll explain.
Wait, what? Are you an alt-right pro-gunist?
It's not usually that response, but it's usually like people are sometimes they're scared of me, and it's not okay. I don't know. I'm not joking. People legitimately are like, your favorite film is Taxi Driver? Kill people?
I think it'd be worse if somebody said Joker, honestly, nowadays, given the
context. So, basically, my introduction to the film was, I had always heard of it. I mean, because it was an iconic film, and I was, I've always been kind of into film. And about 2 years ago, the soundtrack was featured in something. I think I was either watching like a YouTube thing, and I fucking loved the track. So I ended up picking it up on YouTube. It took me forever to find it for some reason, because it wasn't linked in the description. So I had to look up movie jazz melodies, and you can imagine how long it took me to find Taxi Driver. But I found it, and then I listened to the whole soundtrack. I fell in love with it, because if you guys know me, I'm technically in my mental age, I'm really like in my 70s, because my favorite type of music is like jazz, smooth jazz, big band, all that shit. And that's like the soundtrack of Taxi Driver. Please check it out. It's my all-time favorite film soundtrack, as it literally tells the story through audio. And there's even one that has the most famous monologue from the film. So anyway, my history of it was finding that, and eventually I found out it was on Netflix. So I watched it probably about late 2018, early 2019, and at first I didn't, like most people, I didn't exactly understand it fully yet. So the next day I watched it, and I just, for some reason, I love the atmosphere it sets up. The opening shot is perfect, and so is the ending, the ambiguous ending of the entire third act. I just love the performances. It's easily the best of De Niro's. I mean, good God, it's amazing.
Yeah,
I love the direction.
Well, okay.
What?
I kind of have to say I prefer his role.
Yeah, and that's fair. But I just believe that Taxi Driver was that one movie where he puts you in this character. Don't take that sexually. But yeah, I love the cast of the film. I love the story. Please, this is a movie I beg of anyone to check out. It's my all-time favorite. And of course, I'm a superhero guy. So imagine that. I love Scorsese and superhero films. We exist.
Yeah.
I mean, well, it's kind of it in like the middle of it was like, wow, he's kind of a superhero, like creating this little Spider-Man contraption to have a gun in his hand or something like.
Yeah, I felt that too. And then he tried to assassinate a politician, and I was like, based.
Yeah. Anyway, go check out the movie, and the other guys have watched it. We've all watched 3 Scorsese films, and I wonder what you guys' thoughts on it are. I mean, I already know, but I mean, more in depth.
Yeah. Okay, Lucas, you want to go next, or?
Yeah. So the film itself, generally, film is kind of like how somebody would interpret a piece of art or a painting. I'm very critical of them. But this is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. My personal favorite film is Fight Club, directed by David Fincher. But this is really a really, really close second. Either that or The Irishman. I love The Irishman as well. But the film, atmospherically, it hooks you in. The soundtrack is beautiful. Like, everything that Parker said was absolutely, completely accurate. But I really love the themes in it, and it's something that's very like subtle and that not a lot of people would pick up on. When I had to watch it again to kind of pick up on some of those things, the themes of worker isolation and how like he sort of it's sort of like almost the ending. We're going into spoilers, right?
Yeah, it's old. So, your older film, yeah.
Yeah. So the thing with it is that if you look at like what he's doing, he's saving this 12-year-old prostitute. and he's saving him. But if you look at like his motivation thing to it, you kind of start to question the morality of what he's doing. And I thought that was super interesting. And it almost reminds me of sort of like, it's almost kind of like skeptical of war in a sort of way, where it's like, okay, so these, he was a Marine. So it's trying to say like, do these, people who kill other people in the name of whether it's their country or something else, does it necessarily like mean like if does intention matter in that sort of situation? And I think that's a question that needs to be asked in society, and a question that they boldly asked back in the 1970s. So yeah, there you go. And after you guys like kind of finish talking about your thoughts, I want to ask you: do you think what Travis did was just justified in the movie? Like, do the end for him being insane justify the means?
Can I provide my critique of the movie next?
Go for it.
So what I personally like doing in movies is looking for motifs, and with Scorsese, I think his biggest three motifs are, well, maybe it's just two, and one of them fits together, but his motif, guns, and having guns more involved in the plot than most other directors or writers. And I also noticed that most of the time when someone is killed, they have to be killed with multiple shots, and that when someone is only shot once, you see them on screen again, at least one. That's something I've seen. Like with the Matthew guy, who was selling Iris to Travis. He was only shot once in his stomach. When you originally thought he got killed, and then you saw him later, when he fought Travis in the hallway. So that's one example. And also he has a motif of cars, just a lot of conversations happening in cars and stuff. And
yeah. Another thing that he kind of does is he definitely involves a lot of Italian. Like, two of these are mobster movies, but even the way Robert De Niro performs Travis. But then there's also like a scene where they're talking about like how they leave a canary over their killed bodies or something like that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I think if I had to answer if what he did was moral or not, I think it's completely moral to free some, basically slavery. She was basically being a sex slave, which is absolutely terrible.
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah.
Oh, and the actress was actually 12 at the time too. So I think that's pretty controversial. That's a thing we might want to talk about. But yeah, I think what he did was fine because I mean, I'm not going to condone murder, but when they're literally sexual traffickers that are like keeping this girl imprisoned to be raped, because I just don't think that's.
That's fair. I'd say the end, but are the mean. You know what I mean? Like, it's sort of like, Travis sees himself. He sees himself as trapped in ice, and he sees the same thing. Sees the girl Iris as sort of a reflection of that, but in her situation, it's much worse. And so I think what he does in the end was an act of selfishness. He thinks that he's going to be freeing himself from his isolation and loneliness and this captivity in society. But whenever it doesn't, that's whenever he attempts to kill himself. And after that, it's kind of a different thing. But like, it's generally I'm in the middle. I mean, I think, thank God the girl was okay, obviously.
Yeah.
But the more interesting question to me is like, if the intent counts, a good thing may happen to this one person, but like, how good of a thing is it in his head?
I think since he was, I'm using words like worker alienation. That's a pretty controversial topic because that's like a Marxist thing to say. But I think, yeah, he was trying to free her from her slavery because he saw part of himself in her, because he was, I guess you could say, enslaved by society or or like the system he lived under, and instead of being able to just kill the system he lived under, which he did try to like attack a politician, I guess.
But he failed that.
That was probably his attempt at killing capitalism or killing the society that he lives under.
The
but
thing
that
is,
failed,
like,
so he decided to save someone else.
If he would have nailed that kill, the movie would have turned out much, much different.
Yeah, for sure.
If you think about it, or if he would have decided to kill the pimps first, then he probably would have just gone blood hungry for more. Either that, and then went and killed the politician, and then the whole, morality would be completely shifted.
I think the pimps, he wanted to kill the pimps because they were pimps. He didn't want to kill the politician just because he was a politician. I think he was just a materialization of the guy's problems of,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Society at large.
Yeah.
Get what you fucking deserve.
So, Caden, what are your thoughts? Because you have not spoken.
Yeah, okay, so I haven't spoken much. I'm gonna say one thing is I've first watched this movie pretty recently, so my commentary on it's probably gonna be the least interesting because I haven't had as much time to digest it.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed and thought was a nice touch is the veteran aspect of it.
For sure.
Because my grandpa was a Vietnam veteran, and I've made this comparison before. I think you guys have heard me say it before. Reminds me of Rambo: First Blood. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
Because they're around the same time, I think. I don't really remember when Rambo came out. I think it was 1980. I don't know. But yeah, it's interesting for me to explore the isolation you feel. Not you feel. I don't think any of you guys are in Vietnam. Like me, it was a hard war. I can tell you guys from firsthand experience. But
yes.
Yeah. So it's just interesting to see, and it kind of plays into his ultimate resentment towards society as the movie goes on, because he just came back from witnessing terrible events go on and stuff like that, and then you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
like the most infamous and like morally skewed war in American history.
Yeah.
Technically, it was a military conflict, not a war.
So I think we should probably jump into what the second film on the list, which is Goodfellas. Is that what we're doing next?
Yeah, Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe I want to go last on here.
Okay.
I'll just take the reins first, just to make it simpler. I kind of I really enjoy this. Super fun, super interesting, but there's a lot of it's not nearly, in my opinion, as intelligent as The Irishman and the Taxi Driver. Yeah, sorry.
You're good.
So it's and it's a really great movie. Relationships, it's super fun, super interesting. It's well shot, it's well acted. There's almost like this. It's almost like a sort of It's a character study of mobsters, obviously, in the same way that Taxi Driver is like a character study of that like classic insane person kind of movie, because that was like a first back then, but like now it's become so saturated where, guys, can you believe it? We relate to serial killers. That is what our society has come to. That's just kind of become an oversaturated market, if that makes sense. But the film is almost shows like it kind of glamorizes the mobster lifestyle, and then it deconstructs it by showing how paranoid, how distrusting, and how much betrayal goes into it, especially at the end, like where he says, "You never," like Jimmy told Henry, "You never, ever, ever snitch. You always keep your mouth shut."
Mm-hmm.
But then at the very end, exactly what he does is snitch to save his own ass, which is interesting to me.
Hardcore. So Parker, do you want to go next or me? Because I mean, I keep honing in on specific aspects. There's kind of just like one small thing I kind of want to focus on for this movie.
Well, I'll go real quick because my analysis is kind of quick with this film. I don't have like as in-depth connection as I did with Taxi Driver. But in terms of this film, I feel like it's pretty good. It's not. I mean, I think yes, a lot of what Scorsese makes is great. I believe this film is great. Just like Lucas said, not on the same level of Irishman or Taxi Driver. I think we all can agree of the infamous Ray Liotta laugh. I think we can all agree that's an amazing. He sounds like Jared Leto's Joker, guys.
You think I'm funny? No, that's a different character.
So yeah, I just want to say my
you think I'm
opinions
funny?
on it are a pretty good movie, but I prefer his other films. So that's my analysis.
All right.
Yeah, what a funny guy.
So I think I enjoyed this movie more than Parker and Lucas did. Because this might be like up there in my favorite movies now.
Oh, it definitely is for me. It's like my 16th on Letterboxd.
Well, yeah,
right
just
now.
so you guys know, when we're talking about this isn't as good, we're comparing Scorsese movies.
Yeah,
so you guys know I'm not saying any of them are bad.
Like it's Scorsese. For goodness sake,
the sexy man himself.
Yes.
Anyway,
yeah. So just I'm gonna. So there's obviously a lot to go into. They pretty much do everything right in the movie. It just, I mean, I guess there'd be stuff to criticize, but what I just want to hone in on one very small aspect of it. Something I picked up is that these people are very, very almost kind of like immature almost.
They're like children.
Yeah, they're like
in some ways,
like
especially
children.
Joe Pesci. That's why he was so threatening.
Joe Pesci is. Yeah, well, because the reason he's scary is because you have no idea what the fuck he's going to do. He gets slightly mad at somebody, he just shoots them.
It's almost like how kind of like that's one of the reason I kind of like Star Wars, because he was like an unpredictable child that was given an entire powerful army.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, and it's just like they're a bunch of crazy people and just all in the lifestyle. You know, the movie starts off by him saying whatever, like, since I was a kid,
I always wanted to be a gangster. Yeah.
Yeah. I might have misquoted that slightly, but
no, I think you got it right.
All right. Yeah, so that's how the movie starts off, and it basically is that kind of way where they're just trying to be cool. They have guns and money and drugs, but like deep down, they're just a bunch of fucking crazy people. They're still the same kids that wanted to be gangsters.
Yeah,
they just are gangsters now, and it's almost like I said, it all almost comes full, and like just like nothing it becomes to them. It's just either they go to jail or they just start having life, and it's not like really that sad. It's just kind of like they got what they deserved in the end. And
you get what you fucking deserve.
Yeah. But like another thing is like, if you notice, there's a lot of like F-bombs and a lot of language in the movie. They speak like young teenagers, like young fresh out of middle schoolers who are just like realizing, wait, I can say these words in front of people and not get in trouble, and they're just like absolutely immature in a lot of those ways.
For sure, man.
They're like high schoolers, sophomores.
So Grant, you want to go?
Yeah, so this was one of the, I'm pretty sure Goodfellas was the one that Martin Scorsese actually made up the story, because for Taxi Driver he had his friend
No, it's based on a book.
It is?
Yeah, it's based
I know
on
the
a book called
Irishman.
Wise Guys.
Yeah. Oh, I know the Irishman was based on a book as well.
Yeah.
Oh, this one is. I liked it a lot. I really did kind of relate to the whole wanting to be a gangster thing, because I was like, dude, they just like live free. They don't have any authority over them, and that they really played into that well in the movie when they like glamorized it all, and and you didn't really think about how bad of people they were until they started killing each other left and right.
And then like the climax of the infighting is whenever like all that stuff happens. Whenever the snitching, he ratted them out. Like that's like the climax of how much betrayal has gone into this lifestyle.
I think
how hard they grasped to keep their childhood dreams of being a gangster.
Yeah, I think you really Joe Pesci is the guy with the Italian accent, right? Like the strong one. Like
Yes,
Robert from
yes.
Home Alone.
Yes. I think one of the
Baby
most
Yoda.
crucial moments for like their characters falling apart and being deglamorized and like returning to just being assholes and hateable characters instead of. I loved the characters before this happened, but when he just shoots the drink carrier guy, like the bartender, like
It's shocking.
he just
It
pumps him
is.
full.
I
No,
remember being
it wasn't really shocking per se, like because you could see it coming. Like as soon as he had been shot in the foot and he was back on screen again, I'm like, they're gonna kill him. And when he said, "Go f yourself," right? What was it?
classic one.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, he's dead. Like,
Yeah, that's fair. But like, it's still like to see it. Like whenever like the media covering their ears and being like shocked on their faces, it's a great moment.
Yeah, it is
to experience. And that even reminds me of like Joe Pesci's death. Like that was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, like when they were all taunting him, like you just gonna let him get away with that? I knew they were being playful, but seeing what Joe Pesci's character had done earlier in the movie, I like it was like I was there with them. I was like, dude, don't tempt him, you idiot! And then he just pulls out his Glock. Like you really like felt like you were there, and you could feel the relationships between the characters.
For sure, dude.
They were believable, if nothing else.
It's like you felt the tension in the room sometimes. You're just like, oh.
Dude, he's great at making that in all of it.
So I believe this was our thoughts on Goodfellas. We're going to segue now into the most recent Scorsese film, which is The Irishman. And it's almost 4 hours long. So, I mean, there's a lot to uncover here, but I like Goodfellas. I have a quicker analysis. I do have a little bit more to say about this, but I took the approach that Lucas told me was I broke it up into 2 days where I watched it late one night and then a little bit in the afternoon the next day. And actually, that would be today. And I gotta say, Robert De Niro, there was a performance he made recently in Bad Grandpa, and I kind of lost hope in him as an actor. And him and The Irishman won me back. He is phenomenal, and I definitely the standout of the film.
The one scene where he's on the phone with that one girl is like it makes me almost tear up every time I watch it.
Oh, God.
Absolutely,
That's some of the
heartbreaking.
With Joe, he's talking to Joe Mama. Really sad.
We're turning something emotional to a comical. It works.
The Girona virus.
Well, wait, you guys realize Joe Pesci is in the movie, and Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. He's just like really way where more of like this mature, menacing figure. He's more like Polly or Jimmy rather than
he's a Polly figure, definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my thoughts. Just kind of brief because Taxi Driver is my favorite film, so of course I will talk very passionately, and I will go dig. I'll dig deep into it. But in terms of the other two movies, I think that Irishman is definitely up there. I've seen 5 or 6 Scorsese films, and I'd say Taxi Driver number 1, Irishman number 2, and then Goodfellas number 3, and then there's a few others. I think there's only one bad movie in his entire list, and it's just decent. But that's for a different topic.
Okay. Can I talk about it now?
I have a huge thing about it.
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of have a lot to say. So, I really, really enjoyed The Irishman. I've seen it twice now, I think. It's a long runtime for sure, and you definitely feel the runtime, but it doesn't feel like there's any scenes that should be cut ever.
For sure.
Feels like
everything is necessary.
Like unlike Endgame.
Not even everything is necessary for the story, but it's like this builds the characters this much. This shows this, You never feel like, why am I watching this? Which is impressive for a 3.5 hour long runtime. It's ridiculous. But so there's one aspect of the movie I really talked about. It's gonna sound like kind of shallow at first, but it's gonna kind of go into a theme or motif or whatever word I'm supposed to use throughout the whole entire movie. So first off, the digital de-aging was really good.
Definitely.
And it goes into the aspect of time that the movie goes with a lot.
One of my favorite aspects.
Back and forth all over the place.
Yeah, especially because it took up a lot of my time to watch.
I felt like I watched it for decades. But yeah, and
I couldn't even eaten 4 bowls of cereal in that amount.
Oh,
God, freaking idiot.
So yeah, an aspect I liked of the movie is that. So you know how like some older songs at the end it'll keep looping and then just fade out at the end. That's kind of what this movie does.
I know
In
what
the
you mean.
last 30 minutes or so. Yeah, I liked it a lot. It didn't go out with a bang. Whereas Goodfellas, throughout a lot of the movie made being a gangster look really cool, like this glamorous thing. The Irishman does the exact opposite of that.
It makes it look like soul crushing almost.
Every time Frank kills somebody, it's never this like intense action scene or something. It's just him shooting somebody,
and then he walks away.
And it's silent, and you're just like shit, you know.
Even
like
when it is a big action scene, it's like you're scared, like he's gonna fucking die. Like when he goes into the restaurant and he opens fire on those 2 guys, you're like, Frank's gonna just die or get caught.
Joe, man.
Yeah. So it makes this look like a very like a lifestyle you wouldn't want to live, and especially by the end, which is even by the end of the movie, where basically like I said, it kind of fades out. Everybody's just old. Just too much time passes. Eventually, everyone's gone. The nurse lady was talking to Frank, and he was talking about Jimmy Hoffa. She didn't even know who that was, because eventually everything just kind of crumbles, you know.
And it was another thing, like with how Jimmy and Frank's relationship fizzled out to the point where he had to shoot him. And in that scene, you were talking about every action scene just feels like just Frank shooting somebody. It felt just like that, but it was so much more quiet because it had been so quiet for so long. And that entire like 20 minutes, you are absolutely on the edge of your seat. And when it finally happens and you hear that gunshot and the music is still out and he like just has to walk away, it is like one of the saddest moments in film ever. And I absolutely adore this movie. It's crazy good.
Yeah.
It's so
basically
good.
by the end about how it feels, where everybody just gets old, everybody dies except him. After all those years of being a gangster, basically the question was like, was it really ever worth it? And the answer is obviously no. He's like not going to talk to his daughter anymore because she's terrified of him, and he's just stuck there alone. It was heartbreaking.
And like when he asked like the whenever he talked one that he regretted, one sin or whatever, and it's just so weird, you know what I mean? To think that, and then whenever the priest like he's just like leave the door open and just the film cuts, just
I know, leaving it open like his friend always wanted to earlier in the movie as well. It was like keep the door open.
Like he slept in the same bed as Jimmy Hoffa, and like he idolized him because this guy was like next to the president in level of power, and this guy they loved each other. They were like great friends. They had great respect
and he actually
for each
had respect for him, unlike the president. JFK.
Yeah, and they just. I think one thing that Irishman didn't do well is explain Jimmy Hoffa's hatred for JFK. Like it definitely showed it well.
He's kind of just an idiot. I mean, there's no real reason. He just
everybody has motives. Everybody has motives.
Name cocksucker for no reason.
Like in real life, he didn't like Kennedy for like political reasons, and I think they could have showed that.
Well, yeah, like, that would be kind of a waste of time though, because that's not really what the movie's about. You know what I mean?
I know, but it's also not about him hating Kennedy. So if you're arguing something's a waste of time,
they could have squeezed in a little bit more of that within the same runtime.
Yeah. I'm obviously not trying to critique the entire movie like that. That's just one thing that stood out to me, especially because Martin Scorsese said he wasn't holding anything back in this film. He wanted to just make the movie, not adjust for time, just make it however long it had to be.
And that's great. I wish more films took that approach, where they just made the movie how they wanted to make it, and then just be done. You know,
DC.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be Martin Scorsese to have the ability to do that. If you're just some nobody who's like, yeah, I have this vision for a movie. It's 3.5 hours long. It's about old people that talk a lot. It'll be like, oh, fuck it.
Accurate.
So I think I'm going to talk about the themes of all three of the movies, and all combined, I think you can sum it up in like one statement. It's that good people act up when the system fails to let them thrive. Like Frank wouldn't have, I don't think, stolen from the Teamsters Union. He didn't feel that it was something he should have done for his family. And that's what threw him into all of this anyway. Because if he didn't steal from the Teamsters Union, he wouldn't
have gotten attached to Hoffa, and he wouldn't have caused like the most miserable moment of his life.
Oh yeah. He didn't steal from the Teamsters Union. My bad. He stole from his. He wouldn't have been so reliant on. Yeah. And like with Henry from Goodfellas, that's the protagonist, right?
Yeah.
If he saw a future in any other career, he wouldn't become a gangster. He just didn't see a future in those careers. And obviously Travis was beaten down into this sad shell of a human that just alienated, just a tool of some rich guy. And that's do all those bad things, or you could argue they were bad. I think he saved Iris.
I mean, it's yeah. I mean,
however you look at it.
Yeah, definitely. I will say this: him saving Iris was like a great act of like moral courage. But like, you know, if you look at, would you hail like Travis as a hero if you knew what his motivation is?
I think his motivation is left up to ambiguity. Yeah. Honestly, it might be he wants to save her, and it might be I think people skim over. At least we have the other murder he commits in the film. The guy that's just robbing the store.
Yeah, dude, that was
weird. Robbing a store is bad, yes, but
like, did you have to like go that hardcore? Yeah,
you don't have to kill someone for robbing a store. I mean, of course, yes, you could. Yeah, like you're not. When you rob a store, you're not taking away someone's well-being for an entire year. You're like taking away a week's worth of their profits, maybe. And you can see that this guy, once Travis kills him, you can see the clerk just beating this guy's dead corpse with a pole. And I think that really symbolizes the whole good people act up when they can't thrive, because this clerk's life must be fucking terrible. If the only thing he can release his emotions on is a dead corpse with a metal pipe, you know?
Yeah.
No, I think that was really good analysis, Grant. Damn, wow.
Yeah, I might not be good at like the cinema, the shot composition, because I haven't learned all of that. But like when it comes to like philosophical stuff, I guess I'm like
definitely that's yeah, I love that kind of thing.
Yeah. So that's Scorsese for me.
So I believe we've talked our thoughts on 3 very iconic films. I think we're heading towards the end of the podcast. So this has been.
Can we sing along to the Taxi Driver theme? Can we all sing along to it?
Wait, what is it?
Podcast. Can we sing the Taxi Driver theme?
Yes.
For the end of the podcast.
All right, hold on.
Take this away,
3,
Chief.
2, 1.
All right. Thank you guys for watching our podcast. We really appreciate you guys.
Sexy man.
We really appreciate you guys. We love you. We hope you tune in next time. And as always, here's to the Logz.
Here's to the fuck.